Hi, welcome to the Rental Contracts 105, where we'll discuss crediting rental charges. If you haven't watched any of our prior videos, go ahead and check them out to learn about the complete rental process. So today, we're going to start out in the rental contract in the Create Contract section. That'll be, again, product support, rental, rental counter. Most credit situations should be handled by optimization on return of the unit. However, some instances may occur that would justify a separate contract for the credit. If the contract has already been created, we want to create a new contract instead of reopening and modifying the original contract. If you do need to reopen or modify the old one, be sure to check that Include History box if you're searching for a contract that you've already completed. Okay, so in order to create it, we come down here to Need to create a new contract. Click here to add. So we're going to start out in our Customer tab. Be sure to select the correct customer that yours needs to go to. You can use the search button over here, the magnifying glass, to go ahead and search for your correct customer. Once you have that in there, if you click out of that box, it'll go ahead and fill in your information. Make sure that you put the correct taken by and salesperson in there. So something that's especially important on here is to go ahead and make sure we either have the insurance certificate checked or unchecked, depending upon our damage waiver and insurance needs. Make sure your charge method is correct. Remember, you have the magnifying glass right next to it to declare whether it's credit card, rental receivable, cash, or sometimes a actual AR. Right? If this one is a R for rental, or a D for a LP. Next, we're going to go to our Details tab. From here, we're going to go ahead and add in a line using any stock number or any stock number that you need to put in there. If this rental has already been sold or if anything's wrong with that stock number, you can actually go ahead and use the re-rent. For example, is one of the re-rents for branch 1. For example, a re-rent for branch 51 could be RER 5101. 01 will denote your branch and 02 will just be which unit it is. You're going to go ahead and put it in there using a negative quantity. Make sure you select your duration and your rate. There we are. Make sure, because we are using overrides, because the re-rent stock number does not have valid rates for all of the day, week, month by default, make sure you go ahead and put these ones in there. Hit your save to make sure everything took. If you have any error messages, go ahead and solve those, such as maybe the stock number's wrong or you don't have the correct quantity or duration in there. If you need to only credit back miscellaneous charges, this page can actually be skipped. Instead, go straight to your Miscellaneous Charges tab. Go ahead and search and find your charge that you're going to be crediting back. For example, maybe there's a delivery charge. Notice it defaults to your -1 quantity, which is perfect. That's how I want it. And go ahead and fill in whatever price or charge you needed to fill in. So our next spot, I'm actually going to go ahead and clear this out because in this specific instance, I do not need to credit back any miscellaneous charges. Our next spot is going to be comments. Remember, up here, this top box will print on your contract and invoice, and your internal comments will not print out on your contract and invoice. So on this one, I do need these to print out, so I will use the top box. Always enter in your comments, regardless of whether this will be mailed or not. Customer comments should be added. Make sure that they're simple and clear, explaining the reason for the credit. This is going to go ahead and help serve as a record for years and years to come. It's also just as important that you enter internal comments to clarify anything that wasn't able to be written and viewed by the customer. Reason for the credit may seem very clear at the time of when you're processing the credit. However, 6 months later, everybody tends to forget. So for instance, on this one, and an internal comment example may be, there we are. Once we have everything set up properly, simply just go to your invoicing tab. Notice in a usual contract, we'd go to the return tab, but since this one's a credit, it will show already as returned. Right. Make sure our billing dates are correct, as well as our cover to and from dates. After this, go ahead and hit your print email invoice. All right. On this one, I'm just going to preview it because I don't actually want to invoice this one out. Right there, this is a good way to go ahead and view what you're looking at. Notice we have our damage waiver because we did not check our insurance button. We have our subtotal, we have our taxes, and we have our total. Right here is our comments, crediting back rental due to previous error, due to billing errors on previous contracts. Something to pay attention to on this is right here where your comments actually show is actually controlled on your main contract search screen. So right here, your modified default print parameters. If you'd like your comments to go ahead and show at the start or end, or not at all, you can do that. I would go ahead and always put them at the end. That's just my favorite spot to go ahead and put them. So once again, thank you for joining me today as we learned about credits. Please continue watching the videos in this series. Up next should be 106, the managing portion of your rental contracts.